It's a +3 bonus when he's part of a battle. And so that pushes him up to a power of 10, which can be great. But again, that's only in a battle. So if you use him in a challenge, he stays at a 7. Now, Cloud doesn't do anything else aside from getting that additional support value when you battle. But he interacts really well with some world cards that you'll see later. So keep in mind that he's in this deck. The next thing that I'm going to run here that's going to be a little bit tricky for people is you're going to see 2 level 3 Mushus, which came out of Rejoin. These are important because all he does is he gives you +4 attack and no magic. But what's great is if you discard him from your hand, you can ignore the card text on one dark card on your world. So in other words, remember...
It's so good. I'm not going to lie to you. Like,
yeah, it's broken.
Isn't he a common?
He's yeah, he is a common. And if anybody wants these, I do have quite a few of these floating around. So if you want to trade for them,
hit me up. Okay,
well there you go. So you're gonna have to get in line now. But yeah, so they're a pretty cool card. I never play him, honestly. The only thing I do is keep him in my hand and pitch him when I need to. That's why Fairy Godmother is so good, because you can use her to do something like you can pull Tinkerbell, you can pull Bambi, you can pull this guy, and then all of a sudden you can ignore the card text. So Cerberus, you don't want to use 3 friends. Behemoth, you don't want to lose all your friends. Grab this guy, pitch him, you can ignore that text, and then you kill that card right away so that it can't do any more damage to you. Pretty cool stuff. The last 3 level 3 cards that I have here are Jack Skellington, Bambi, and then Beast. So Jack Skellington, again, very straightforward, but this one reduces all dark cards by 3 levels, which means now you're really looking at doing some damage with something like Beast. Beast level 3 allows you to discard a dark or heartless card that's level 4 or lower, so now you can take out anything as high as level 7 with just simply dropping him on the field, which is awesome. And then Bambi, simple card, gives you 2 attack, 0 magic, but allows you to draw 2 cards. I only run 1 copy, because if you run too many copies of it, you'll pull it at the wrong time. It's always nice to be able to draw cards, but sometimes it would be better to have something more functional like another Beast in your deck, as opposed to just simply being able to draw 2 cards. So that's the way I do it. It is running very lean in that area. And Vamp's eyes got huge when I said I only ran 1 here, so I'm curious what his thoughts on that are. There you have it. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, let's go ahead and we'll go through the attack cards, which are important. 2 Oathkeeper. I had 3, but when I play against my Japanese Riku deck, which is a similar one to the one that Vamp posted a video for, you're constantly able to avoid letting your opponent gain HP. So I figured it would just be better to run 2, keep the deck a little bit thinner. Again, it's just personal preference. 1 Ultima Weapon, sexy card, +13 attack, doesn't really need much explanation. Japanese Oblivion, because the English Oblivions are hard to find. +10 attack, also very cool. Monochrome. This is the equipment card that I was talking to everybody about. This is actually a really important card for this deck because it allows this deck to kill Stealth Sneak without even thinking about it. So it's a +0/+0, but what it does is when it's equipped to Timeless River Sora, you can actually select any number lower than the number of HP that you have, and that number gets subtracted from your HP, and then that much damage is dealt to all Dark Heartless cards sitting on your world. So if you need to do 1 damage, you take 1 HP. You need to do 10 damage, you take 10 HP off. Remember, you start with a full dozen. So this actually is a very useful card if your opponent can't get rid of it, because you can use it to supply the last couple points of damage for relatively little cost, because you do have such a big buffer. And then the one card that I have in here is called Throne. This is an event card from Piece of Memory that most people don't even know what it does. It's like Beast level 3, where it allows you to discard a Dark Heartless card of level 4 or lower. Again, the whole reason I run this is because it allows me to kick off Dark Heartless cards without needing to use power. All I have to do is have a Jack Skellington in play that brings their level down. I can drop this, and even if I don't want to start losing friends or using resources, I can still get rid of Heartless and be able to world race without really doing too much.
Okay, that's stupid.
Well, so
like, that thing in combination with Jack Skellington level 3 is dumb.
Yeah. Well, but so Vamp, the other really cool event card that I go back and forth on is called Rest at Night, which automatically allows you, when you play it, to gain 2 HP. So I kind of go back and forth between, would it be better to have 2 HP and then abuse Monochrome, Or would it be better to be able to start pitching Dark Heartless cards if you feel like you don't have enough power in your deck? It really comes down to preference and how you like to play it. And so for me, this is the route I've gone, and it works pretty well. It's not perfect, but it works pretty well. So now I want to go through the Dark Heartless cards, and then we'll do the World cards. The Dark Heartless cards are pretty straightforward. Pete, because he prevents your opponent from playing the king, not because he really does much else. Stealth Sneak, because he's the world's most annoying Heartless card. Cerberus, because
even with that errata, Stealth Sneak's still pretty stupid.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Cerberus, because he requires your opponent to have 3 friends that can commit to battle, which can stall them. And then Behemoth, because if you happen to pair it with Cerberus, or if you happen to pair it with Stealth Sneak, it just wipes the other player's board. And again, all these are designed to do is just stall for a turn, maybe 2, to give me the advantage to run through my worlds, which we'll go through right now. So we'll start at the top end.
I'm actually shocked with this being one of your decks, you not playing Cave of Wonders Guardian.
Believe me, dude, I went back and forth and I went with Stealth Sneak instead because Cave of Wonders only works when you pair it with other dark cards. This deck runs so few, you're almost never going to get 2 dark cards at the same time to drop on your opponent's world. So I need one-stop roadblocks, basically, is what I'm going for. Just because I'm trying to keep this deck as thin as possible, because if it inflates in size, it runs really slow. And you get worked. So, level 3 worlds, I have, all 3 are Hollow Bastion, but the last one is a little bit different. So, this is from Rejoin, it's a rare, and what it says is, when it comes into play, you can search your discard pile for 1 Leon card and put it in your hand. So the whole point here is, remember, I run Leon and Cloud, the level 3 versions, because you can't run level 4s with this Sora. So I use this to reload, basically. So like you'll drop this Hollow Bastion. You can pitch a Leon early game when you can't play it, and it doesn't matter, because once this comes out later, you immediately bring him to your hand. Now, it's not as good as being able to put him directly in play, but then at least you got him in your hand, so you can get him back down more easily.
I see why they gave him such a good Leon effect. You forgot to mention the very first effect of that world.
What does it do?
Your opponent may play Dark Heartless and Dark Nobody cards of any level on this world.
Oh yeah, I conveniently forgot that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yes, there is that unfortunate downside.
You conveniently forgot that stupid effect.
I don't.
Really bad backdraw.
I can't imagine why I would have forgotten to say that to the one person that I generally tend to play with online. Good catch. Good catch. So next. So next what we have is we've got Timeless River level 2. Now this card I really like, but it's the only Timeless River card, world card that I run, which is why I don't use Clarabelle Cow. This one is really cool because you can play it like normal, and it's got a dark limit of 2, which is not bad at all for playing a level 2 world. But what's neat about it is that you have the ability to also play it immediately following Disney Castle. And so for those of you that are familiar with Disney Castle, that's a level 1 card that your opponent can't play Dark Heartless on, plus you get to draw a card when you play it. What this means is then, on a turn where I would drop a Disney Castle, I get to draw a card, and I know I'm quote-unquote safe. But if I have this in my hand, I can play a second world during the same turn, gain a second HP, and now I've essentially got another level 3 world, but I've actually used 2 cards from my deck, so you thin it out a little bit. So you have to time it right, and there's more often than not I end up playing at least one of these without the added benefit of Disney Castle, but I do run 2 Disney Castle to try and take as much advantage of that as possible. And I will say that there are a lot of games that I've played, against myself, where this actually becomes very, very helpful because you're gaining HP, you're gaining levels, and you're also getting rid of cards from your hand, which lets you draw more the following turn, etc., etc. So now we're into the level 1 worlds. So the first one is Destiny Islands. So pretty straightforward, it's a level 1. It's got a dark limit of 1. When it comes into play, you can search your deck for any level 0 friend and put it into your hand. A lot of times you'll use this to find the king, which then lets you find any 1 card in your deck. But if you've already played the king, it's good for finding a copy of the mayor. It's good for finding a copy of, Horus Horsecaller, if you need that.
Yeah.
I only run the 1 Donald, so it's not like you can replace Donald, and I don't run the level 0 Goofy because I don't think he does a whole lot to help you. For those that don't know, the level 0 Goofy, he allows you to discard him voluntarily to discard a Dark Heartless card in your friend or in your opponent's friend area. So unless you're playing somebody that has a dark deck, it's completely worthless. And he only gives you +2 attack and +0 magic. So again, very situational, so I just don't run him. And I do have multiple copies of Donald, but I just don't want to run him because if he gets killed, it's really not that big of a deal because you're not really doing much during challenges anyway. My last two cards are probably my two favorite cards in this deck. It's actually the same card. It's a level 1 Hollow Bastion. Dark limit of 1, awesome. Really cool effect. When it comes into play, you may search your discard pile for up to 3 Hollow Bastion friends and put them directly into your friend area. This is the ultimate reload card for this deck because when you play these late game, that means you can use Leon and Cloud and get almost 20 attack out of just these 2 cards. You can use them, lose them, and then drop this after you've cleared off whatever world card you have above it. Once you level up, boom, these 2 suckers come right back into play. Leon can't be discarded by your opponent. Cloud's a little bit more prone to getting tagged by something, but still, he can provide +10 support when he's in a battle, which is all you're going to use him for. And you've all of a sudden taken a deck that struggles to have power and filled up its bench at the drop of a hat. It's pretty awesome. These are even great early game when you go ahead and like, if I get a bunch of level 3s in my hand at the beginning of the game and you have no level 1s or 2s, you think you're screwed, right? Wrong. You can play, like you can pitch all the level 3s early and then you can grab this as like your second or third world card when you're still very low in level. And all of a sudden you get level 3s on your field and now your entire deck opens up. So it's a pretty cool combination. Again, this deck is tricky to play, but it's a lot of fun.
The Goofy that you were talking about is actually even worse than what you said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when Timeless River is the topmost card in your world area, you may choose to discard this card and one card